This is my Module 3 for EDL 901, Advocating for Technological Equity. So these next few slides will be a synthesis of content that I read for this assignment. So, navigating the future of education entails a strategic shift in focus. Rather than fixating on maximizing technology, we must begin by defining our educational objectives and exploring how the wealth of resources, both technological and human, at our disposal can help us achieve those goals. COP noted that technology should be a means to an end, serving the broader purpose of enhancing learning outcomes and providing equitable educational opportunities for all students. So, Mead's observation underscores the critical importance of ensuring that the technology we implement operates smoothly so that students can only benefit from digital learning when the technology functions effectively. So, there's a distinction between utilizing technology in constructive, pedagogically sound ways and using it ineffectively. There's also the discussion in the article from American Institutes of Research that technology is just a tool. So it must align with our students' needs, the curriculum, and our educators' learning objectives. So this perspective underscores the importance of intentional technology integration that enhances the overall educational experience. There was also a theme throughout several components of content in expanding access to learning tools for students and their families, equipping our educators with the necessary skills, and utilizing student data effectively to inform decisions and continually improve the learning environment. This multifaceted approach, as emphasized by Anderson, is fundamental to creating equitable and successful educational opportunities for all learners. So, nurturing digital citizenship is an all encompassing endeavor that requires the collective efforts of our entire educational community. Fairfax County Public Schools aptly notes that teaching digital citizenship is not the responsibility of one person alone, but it's a shared duty. So, the aim should be to empower students with the skills and knowledge to navigate the digital landscape responsibly and effectively. So, as defined by Passut, digital citizenship extends beyond online safety. It's also about leveraging technology to solve real world problems, engage respectfully with diverse perspectives, and amplify one's voice and critically discern information. So, in today's polarized information age, fostering digital citizenship takes on even greater significance, which was highlighted by Song. To prepare our students for the challenges of discerning fact from fiction, navigating complex relationships, and using technology for positive change, we must adopt a comprehensive vision of digital citizenship. So, this involves instilling critical competencies that equip students to rise above divisions and contribute positively to society. So, district leaders must lead the integration of these competencies into our curriculum and educational practices. It has to start at the top. So, as we address digital citizenship, we must also acknowledge that closing the digital divide is not a one dimensional challenge. As Magnum aptly points out, it goes beyond providing broadband access. It involves ensuring access to quality hardware, quality content, and digital literacy. So, district leaders must work diligently to bridge these gaps and ensure that every student has access to a curriculum rich education that empowers them as learners. So, in this layered journey toward equity, we have to recognize that technology, again, is just a tool, and its true value lies in its ability to unlock a world of possibilities for every student, regardless of their background or circumstances, which was emphasized by Lors. So, addressing the digital divide is a large concern in today's educational landscape, and it has been for quite a while. As defined by Garcia, the digital divide represents a stark gap between those who have access to technology and those who do not. This division persists as a critical issue, delineating the haves and the have nots when it comes to educational opportunities. While awareness of digital equity has grown among principals and districts, which was highlighted by the Speak Up survey, it's essential to recognize that awareness alone doesn't fully resolve this issue. So, to bridge this divide and promote digital equity, our leaders in the district must take proactive steps. The Consortium for School Networking underscored the importance of the federal government's role in ensuring that all individuals and communities have the necessary information technology capacity. Achieving digital equity is not merely just a lofty goal, it's a principle that underpins participation in society and the economy. So, leaders must be committed to eliminating these harmful policies that perpetuate these disparities, which was emphasized by Fairfax. In the pursuit of digital equity, we must also ground our efforts in sound learning principles and make sure we obtain a deep understanding for our specific school system's objectives, our local data, and our different community needs. And this was something that the Office of Educational Technology spoke to in their article as well. So, a cultural historical lens, which was suggested by Garcia and Lead, can provide a broader perspective on the possibilities of educational technology. But by acknowledging the daily lives and experiences of individuals in those complex learning environments, we as leaders can develop more inclusive strategies and policies that truly address these equity gaps. So now that I've kind of talked through some of the content, not some of it, all of the content that I had to go through for this assignment, I'm now going to analyze our curriculum that my district is currently using. So as you can see, we have quite the list of curriculum being used in our district, as well as some commonly known supplemental resources that align to our state standards. I do think it's important to note that I did not list out every single curriculum or resource that we routinely use at our secondary level, those 7-12 levels. We are currently completing a new science adoption at the secondary level when PLTW, which is Project Lead the Way, doesn't meet standard needs since classes are much more specifically designed at this level. And curriculums can be broken down into things like physics and chemistry and biology. There can be different curriculums for, every single thing. And we, as a larger district, are able to have even more specific classes outside of just those three basic ones that you typically hear about. We're also preparing to undergo a math curriculum adoption. All of these adoptions have kind of been pushed back because of the COVID year. We had to shift our focus a little bit. So now we're getting back on track, but we had hoped to also already be in a current math curriculum adoption, but we're still preparing for that. And that will for sure start next year. So this will absolutely happen at our 7-12 level, but it may end up being an entire K-12 adoption. So, just a little bit about what's on this page. Ready to Advance encompasses both ELA and math. Benchmark Advance at the K-6 level is our ELA. Haggerty is only at the K-2 level. It is much more of a phonics and phonemic awareness based curriculum. Envision is our math. And PLTW is our Project Lead the Way, and that is our science curriculum at that K-6 level. As you get into 7-8 and above, you see things like My Perspectives. I somehow got that on there twice. That is also our ELA curriculum, and that is the sister curriculum to Benchmark Advance. So we have some fluidity happening pre-K-12 in our district in the content area of ELA, which is great. All these other things that you see listed under 7-12 are either things in regards to math, science, or social studies as well. We do also have a common curriculum for our students that receive instruction aligned with the essential elements versus the Common Core state standards. That curriculum is through the company N2Y and is called Unique. It encompasses all 4 of those core content areas. And we also have a virtual school within our district, and we use Edgenuity as our main curriculum for all of those core subjects. So now that I've kind of talked about the curriculums we used. Now I'll kind of dig into these questions listed here. So, is the curriculum technologically equitable? So we are a one-to-one district, and so our students have individual access to a device as well as other components of the technology that are within different teachers' classrooms. All of our ELA and math curriculums are available in a digital format, whether that be e-textbooks, digital libraries, or just the ability to complete different assignments that are assigned to students online. They're also available in different modalities such as text, video, audio. They have interactive lessons, games, different things like that. Um, However, that's not the case for most of our science and social studies curriculums, with the exceptions of some of our PLTW courses that correlate directly with learning the use of technology. And an example of that would be like a coding class. Our Inspire Science curriculum, though, is also technologically equitable. So there's a couple little caveats there. Is the curriculum evidence-based? This can change as standards and statuses change, so we defer to KSDE's recommendations and resources to ensure that they are evidence-based. And then we also use edreports.org to check if our curriculum is in alignment and where it needs to be. And when we start to have concerns with those things, that's when we look to do a new curriculum adoption, which our district takes that process very seriously, and we are very intentional with it since it is a very large expense for our district to go through an adoption, and we want to make sure we're being frugal with our taxpayer dollars when we're spending that much money on something. So anyways, is the curriculum technology rich? So as I kind of just said earlier, some are not. It seems to be used in a more technology right manner with staff who are more comfortable with the use of technology, regardless of training that has or hasn't been provided by the district. However, I do believe that as an educational leader, it is important to continuously assess the degree to which a curriculum is considered to be technology rich and make those informed decisions about further enhancements and adjustments that may be needed. Is the curriculum supportive of academic or non-academic activities? I mean, you can certainly find ways within all of our curriculums in which non-academics can be applied. This is most common, though, in our PLTW curriculum. Others have different connections to some of those SEL needs and different real-world applications, too. And is the curriculum supportive of every student and adult? Benchmark Advance is highly supportive. It has multiple components of this curriculum that are already differentiated for learners' needs. It has great ready-made resources that you can also give to parents. In fact, it even has its own separate little branch off of its curriculum that our district has purchased called Steps to Advance that are typically used in our instructional supports, or also known as interrelated special education classrooms, where they have taken that content and reduced it by 2 grade levels while ensuring that it still aligns with the appropriate grade level standards, which is incredibly important when you have to start considering the alignment of standards and exposure needed for those state assessment years that students are in. However, this isn't the case for every one of our curriculums, especially at the secondary level. And so oftentimes our teachers at that secondary level are left to supplement our curriculum quite extensively in some cases. All right, so into, oh gosh, moving into addressing those inequities. So I don't know how to go back on my slide, so I'm going to talk about those previous questions. So as a district leader, I can support programs infused with technology. I would need to create a process in which I can perform a comprehensive assessment of our existing digital resources, our infrastructure, and student needs. So from here, I could reinforce the implementation of curricula that prioritizes technology integration, ensuring that digital content is engaging in a developmentally appropriate manner, make sure it's accessible and aligned with our standards and objectives. I can also ensure that we have professional development opportunities for the educators of the district to effectively use technology in their teaching practices. So these collaborative efforts and continuous evaluation of our district's needs will help reduce technological disparities and foster an inclusive learning environment. Then the second statement that was on that slide that I just skipped right past was So, in order to promote technological equity and student success, I can establish collaborative systems of support, coaching, and professional development. This is something that my district currently does do, but it needs to be more robust, especially in the area of coaching, instructional coaching. So, this involves fostering a culture of reflection and continuous improvement with a focus on aligning technology integration with those educational goals. I'd have to work closely with educators and other leaders in the district to identify their specific needs and provide targeted coaching and professional development opportunities that empower them to effectively use technology in the classrooms. So now for the slide that I'm currently on. To enhance technological equity and support instructional improvement, I would need to complete a deep dive into our system of assessments and data management and ensure that everything's, again, developmentally appropriate, accessible, and culturally responsive. So this system should not only gauge our students' learning, but also consider their well-being and diverse cultural backgrounds. So due to some recent initiatives from the state around dyslexia, we have a fairly new assessment system for our overall district. However, since it is relatively new, some staff are still learning how to interpret data from this and use it in a meaningful way to individualize instruction. We do, however, have timelines in which specific assessments must be completed in a way that ensures that they are accessible to all. And then for other assessments, so staff have access to them, but only use them when they're needed to monitor student progress in very specific and targeted areas. So, to address technological inequities and cater to the diverse needs of every student in the district, I would need to strategically design, implement, and continuously evaluate our district wide systems that integrate our curriculum, instruction, assessment, student services, technology, and any other instructional resources, which is way easier said than done. So, this would need to ensure equitable access to technology and resources for all students. By currently being one-to-one, we do have equitable access, but not all classroom lessons that are given provide equitable access. Um, and again, that kind of goes back to just teachers' comfort levels with the technology that they do and don't have in their classrooms. So, by tailoring these systems just a bit to accommodate various learning styles, abilities, and backgrounds, I could aid in creating an inclusive learning environment. And then regular assessment and refinement of these systems, coupled with professional development for educators, are essential to continually improve their effectiveness and reduce those technological disparities, thereby enhancing the overall educational experience and outcomes for every student in the district. All right, so in conclusion, the relevancy to my current learning on this assignment, it allowed me to learn more about digital equity and how much more in depth it is than just providing a singular device. I have to make sure that students across the district are able to access material that's relevant to them, but that staff are also appropriately trained in how to use the technology we have, and that the implementation of such is done with fidelity. And that would help with the equity and the access to it. So, takeaways from the content of this assignment in regard to COVID-19. So, as a district during COVID-19, we did ensure that each student had access to a device as well as the internet. This was done through hotspots for those that did not have their own Wi Fi at home. We were able to come up with a plan pretty quickly because we already have a pretty robust technology department since we are a larger district. Every single item that went out to homes was barcoded and scanned into an inventory system. However, something to consider for the future is when you do have those households with multiple students and they're all trying to keep up on their schoolwork, and the bandwidth that's available is not always ideal. So, that is something that I took away from this content and would be good to stay abreast of that information to maybe proactively plan for the future if we would ever have another situation like this arise again. But we're going to hope not. But you never know. So, my reflection, how does this influence my decisions as a future leader? I need to learn a lot from our current technology department. It's kind of one of those where you respect everybody in the district as a professional and that they've got it under control, and you really don't notice until they don't have it under control. So I'm not super engrossed into that department, and so I have a lot that I could learn from them. They have a lot of systems in place that work well that I could learn from and take practices directly from to apply in other areas. However, I also need to increase my own knowledge in technology use, as well as how our staff are currently using the technology that they have access to in their teaching practices. So, this would give me a better overall understanding of how those different components come together to make positive outcomes for our students. And then the improvement in my leadership skills, there's a current need to have a plan in place for when a crisis occurs and the need for distant learning arises. I believe we've learned a lot from when the pandemic hit and would be able to transition in a much smoother manner now than maybe before. But these are the times, though, when everyone looks to the leaders when there is a crisis. So being proactive now would help those decisions seem much more fluid in the times that they are needed. So, with that, here are all of my references that I used for this assignment. And I thank you for listening to my presentation.